So as he said a minute ago, this is not a surprise. The law, and that matters because it's the Supreme Court we're talking about, the law behind the Roe v. Wade decision of 1973 was so shoddy and ridiculous, because of course abortion is not mentioned in the Constitution, not even alluded to, that a lot of people figured out a long time ago that it would at some point be overturned because it was too absurd to continue. And so a lot of states have been preparing for it. More than a dozen of them have what are called trigger laws that will take effect now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. And a lot of them will outlaw most abortion. So eventually, roughly half the country is expected to implement significant new restrictions on abortion. And that matches public opinion polling on abortion, which is to say, a lot of people don't like abortion. If you live in New York City, you might not know any of them. But if you live in Mississippi, you know quite a few. The point is, people will get to live with the laws they want. How's that bad? Today, the state of Missouri became the very first state to ban abortion. The state's attorney general is Eric Schmidt, and we're happy to have him join us tonight. Mr. Attorney General, thanks so much for coming on. So what is the state of abortion law in Missouri now?
Yeah, Missouri became the first state after the decision, the Dobbs decision day, to effectively end abortion. And this is something that's been worked on for decades. People have preyed upon this. It's a long time coming. Thankfully, President Trump appointed 3 conservative justices that knew that the Roe decision, as Justice Alito said, the day it was issued was on a collision course with the Constitution. And we see that here today now. And so this issue will be decided, as it should have been 49 years ago, to the states. Missouri, interestingly, in 1825 was the first state to formally prohibit abortion. That was the law of our state until Roe v. Wade, and now we're back to where it should have always been. And so it's a big day, and I think, as you've pointed out, it's a big day for democracy, for the voters now to have a say, as opposed to 9 unelected justices back 49 years ago that decided this for everybody in the country. And I think what you're seeing now with this night of rage that's been talked about, the Justice Department has no interest in condemning it. They haven't done anything to stop it. You've seen an assassination attempt of a Supreme Court justice. You see this intimidation that's going to continue. The Justice Department's way more interested, evidently, in sicking the FBI and going after parents who show up to school board meetings under the Patriot Act than arresting folks who are intimidating Supreme Court justices. This is out of a banana third world republic, but thankfully the rule of law was buttressed today, and Missouri was the first state to take action. I was proud to do that as the state's chief legal officer.
I'm glad this is back in the political arena where it belongs, where voters can decide. And one effect is people are going to have to start affirmatively defending abortion and not hiding behind these stupid slogans and euphemisms. Oh, it's choice. It's a health care procedure. It's a human right. Really? Well, what is it? And why don't you tell us why you're for it? You look forward to that conversation?
Absolutely, and that's where it should have been all along, Tucker. And so here we are now, 49 years later, with the reset, and the people get to weigh in. It's what was always intended, as opposed to Roe v. Wade, which was made out of a constitutional right, made out of whole cloth.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they hate democracy like the devil hates holy water. It is just amazing to see it. Eric Schmidt,
well, it's about
the state of Missouri. Appreciate your coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Here to react is former Planned Parenthood clinic director, now pro-life advocate, Abby Johnson. Abby, thank you so much for being here. Before we get to the states, first of all, your reaction as someone who's been in the middle of this for so many years to the Supreme Court decision.
Well, you know, I am very excited. Pro-lifers across the country are very excited. We believe it's a great day for women. We believe that it's a great day for life, a great day for the preborn. I am someone who knows firsthand the devastation of Roe. I've had 2 abortions myself, something that I deeply regret. I have facilitated over 22,000 abortions as a Planned Parenthood director. So knowing the destruction of abortion, the destruction of Roe, I'm very glad that that law is off the books in our country.
The law is off the books, and now it goes to the states. So 13 states have trigger laws. 5 others had previously had a ban on abortion before Roe was decided. One of those is, say, Indiana. So what happens in these states now that it's in their hands?
So now we're waiting. Some states have already enacted their trigger laws. So Utah, Kentucky, there are a couple of others that have already said, look, we're not waiting the 30 days. We're going to go ahead and enact those today. And so as of yesterday, there's a few states where abortion is now illegal. Some states are sort of in the waiting period. They're waiting the 30 days, or now in the next 30 days, they may go ahead and enact their trigger laws. But within the 30 days, those states in red are going to be states where abortion is illegal.
Mm-hmm. Abby, how did this happen? I mean, for just 10 years ago, it would have seemed almost inconceivable that Roe would be overturned, given the status of the court, and it had been 40 years. How did this moment happen?
Well, I mean, of course, I think that we have Trump to thank for this, for putting constitutionalist judges on the Supreme Court. But I mean, really, I think the left has done this to themselves. They have swung this pendulum so far to one side that, you know, the safe, legal, and rare argument made sense to a lot of people. It made sense to independents. It made sense to moderate Republicans. But swinging this pendulum so far to the left, where they are now demanding abortion on demand for any reason all through 9 months of pregnancy, and they want us to pay for it, that is something that just doesn't make sense to the majority of Americans. It doesn't make sense to the bulk of Democrats. And so they have really done this to themselves by taking such an extremist position on abortion. And people finally rose up and said, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. This is not something that I want to support. The states rose up, they passed legislation, and now here we are with the end of Roe.
Abby, very well said. Congratulations. Thank you for your bold stance that you've taken on this issue for many years, as you said just at the beginning. Thank you, Abby.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
While this bill doesn't do everything I want, it does include actions I've long called for that are going to save lives. It funds crisis intervention, including red flag laws. It keeps guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and to others. And it finally closes what is known as the boyfriend loophole. So if you assault your boyfriend or girlfriend, you can't buy a gun or own a gun. It requires young people aged 18 to 21 to undergo enhanced background checks. It includes the first ever federal law that makes gun trafficking and straw purchases distinct federal crimes for the first time. It clarifies who needs to register as a federally licensed gun dealer and run background checks before selling a single weapon. I'm not going to sign this bill into law. God willing, it's going to save a lot of lives.
Tulsi Gabbard is a former Democrat presidential candidate and congresswoman. So does this make you angry when you just see these two different standards of justice?
You know, what makes me angry, Jesse, is just how dangerous the consequences of this are. Because what you're really pointing out here in all of these different examples that you're talking about is how our law enforcement is essentially being politicized and weaponized to go after political opponents, as well as to go after people who refuse to comply, people who, won't go along with whatever they're saying we, the people, must do. You mentioned a few examples. You mentioned parents who are standing up for their kids. The past, how we've seen the IRS go after organizations with the word patriot in their title of their organization. This not only dangerously undermines our democracy, the rule of law, but it also really points to how those in power are very short-sighted, not really realizing, like, hey, at some point, power is going to shift to the other side. But even those who do realize, like, we need to do all that we can to prevent that from happening and defy what is right and wrong and feel like the end justifies the means. And I think that's what we see in dictatorships, that's what we see in banana republics, and that's what we need to prevent from happening. That's why we have the Constitution. Constitution provides us with the pathway to make sure that we don't have people who are abusing their power to maintain their power. But we need to take a stand to make sure that we don't get to that point that becomes irreversible.
Do you think the Democrats actually believe that if Republicans take power, they will turn the FBI, the Justice Department, CIA, local DAs against their political enemies? I don't even think the Democrats think the Republicans have it in them to do that. And I don't think the Republicans think they should be doing that because they think that's a massive overreach. So how do we correct what's going on, which is only happening, this abuse of power, on the left? We can't just, we're going to do it to them, right? Or should we?
Of course not. Absolutely not. We need to stay within the bounds of the Constitution and the rule of law. I think the thing that I frankly have heard from some Democrats is an even more dangerous thing than that fear that you're talking about, which is they feel like that they need to do whatever they need to do in order to save America. And that is a dangerous mindset to have. You know, and you look throughout history, just about every single dictator who does whatever they feel they need to do, they feel like their cause is just. And so when we have people in positions of power, yes, in government, but in other sectors of our community, our society as well, who feel like they need to do all they can to save the country, to save the people, and yet they're defying our Constitution and undermining our democracy and ruining our country in the process. This is what we need to protect ourselves and our country and our future from.
Well, they don't need to save the country because I saved the world. And if they'd read the book, they would have known that and they'd leave it alone. Gabby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.